The first rows, Malcom said, are Nishira gene sequencers, and beyond are the automatic DNA synthesizers. It's a factory, Eddie said. It's like agribusiness or something. Yes, it is. At the corner of the room was a printer, with some loose sheets of yellowing paper lying beside it. Malcom picked one up and glanced at it. It's a reference to a computer database for some dinosaur blood factor, something to do with red cells. And is that the sequence? No, the sequence should be a series of nucleotides. Here. Does this have something to do with why the animals survived? I'm not sure, Malcom said. Was this sheet related to the final days of the manufacturing facility? Or was it just something that worked and printed out years ago? Or somehow left behind? He looked around by the printer and found a shelf with stacks of sheets. Pulling them out, he discovered that they were memos. They were on a faded blue paper, and they were all brief. Seems like they had problems. Undoubtedly they did, Malcom said. It would be impossible not to have them. But the question is... They had problems with infection and the contamination of production line, Malcom said. And maybe other sources of contaminated as well. Look at this. Does this mean what I think it means? Yes, Malcom said. They were having trouble keeping the newborn animals alive. So they tagged them and released them. And kept track on them in some kind of network? Yes, I think so. They set dinosaurs loose on this island? Eddie said. They must be crazy. Desperate is more like it, Malcom said. Just imagine, here's this huge, expensive, high-tech process, and in the end, the animals are getting sick and dying. Hammond must have been furious, so they decided to get the animals out of the laboratory and into the wild. But why didn't they find the cause of the sickness? Why didn't they? Commercial progress, Malcom said. It's all about results, and I'm sure they thought they were keeping track of the animals. They could get them back at any time they wanted. And don't forget, it must have worked. They must have put the animals into the field, then collect them after a while, when they were older, and shipped them to Hammond Zoo. But not all of them. We don't know anything yet, Malcom said. We don't know what happened here. It's a changing room. Looks like it, Malcom said. He opened the locker. It was empty, except for a pair of men's shoes. He opened several other lockers. They were all empty. Inside one, a sheet of paper was taped. What's DX? Eddie said. I think it's the name for the mysterious disease. At the far end of the changing room were two doors. The right-hand door was pneumatic, opened by a rubber foot panel set in the floor, but that door was locked. So they went through the left door, which opened freely. They found themselves in a long corridor with floor-to-ceiling glass panels along the right wall. The glass was scratched and dirty, but they peered through it into the room beyond, which was unlike anything Thorne has ever seen. The space was vast, the size of a football field. Thorne shone his light on the conveyor belt, an assembly line, but it looks untouched, like it's still ready to go, Malcom said. There are a couple of plants and growth through the floor over there, but overall, remarkably clean. Too clean, Eddie said. If it's a clean room environment, then it's probably air sealed. I guess it just stayed the way it was years ago. Eddie shook his head. For years? Doc, I don't think so. Then what do you think explains it? Malcom frowned and peered through the glass. How was it possible for a room this size to remain clean after so many years? It didn't make it... Hey! Malcom saw it too. It was in the far corner of the room, a small blue box halfway up the wall, cables running into it. It was obviously some kind of electrical junction box. Mounted on the box was a tiny red light. It was glowing. This place has power! Thorne moved closer to the glass, looking through with them. That's impossible. It must be some kind of storage charge or a battery. After 5 years? No battery can last that long. I'm telling you, Doc, this place has power! It didn't make any sense. How could there be a Site B network? InGen had closed Site B years ago. Arby had already read the documents, and InGen was out of business long since bankrupt. What network? He wondered. And how had he managed to get on it? The trailer wasn't connected to anything. There was no cables or anything. So it must be a radio network already on the island. Somehow he had managed to log onto it. But how could it exist? A radio network needed power, and there was no power here. Arby waited. Nothing happened. The words just sat there on the screen. He waited for a menu to come up, but one never did. Arby began to think that perhaps the system was defunct, or hung up. Maybe it just let you log on, and then nothing happened after that. Or maybe, he thought, he was supposed to do something. Oh my God. The pictures were all real.